Hello everyone, and welcome to our studio session to discuss about studies, traineeships and future careers here in Oulu. My name is Niina Marostenmäki and I work here at the University of Oulu as a solution designer, and I will be the host for today. And together with our panelists, we are going to discuss in more depth about studying in Oulu and your possibilities to find traineeships and possibly also building your career here. And today here with me is Mia and Daria. And Mia, could you introduce yourself and tell a bit about your role at the University of Oulu's Career Center?
Hello everyone, my name is Mia Narkaus and I work as a solution designer here at the University of Oulu. And I'm coming from academic affairs and I work also in the Career Center. And I guide the students to get the job or internship, applying there, and also planning their career and actually anything what comes into job hunting.
Great, thank you, Mia. And Daria, could you introduce yourself and tell a bit more, what did you study and what is your current role?
Hello, my name is Daria Zaykovskaya. I am graduating from a master's program in learning education and technology, and I have recently started working as a solution designer for mobility services, and I mostly deal with outgoing exchange.
Okay, great. Good to have you both here. And for the audience, I would like to remind you that throughout our session, you can send questions to Pressmo chat. It's pressmo.oulu.fi/ask. And we will look at your questions at the end of our session, so keep them coming. So let's start our discussion with focusing a bit more on your student journey, Daria. So first of all, how did you find your study place in Oulu?
When I decided that I wanted to do a master's degree, it was February 2020. It was already too late to apply for the next year, so I had a whole year to prepare my paperwork and do my language exams. And when time came, I browsed to the net. The information was readily available, and I used a free consulting service to help me find the best fit. I ended up applying to 3 universities in Finland because I had already visited Finland before and was fascinated by the wonderful nature, happiness, and famous education system. And when I got my acceptance letter from Oulu, was the first university that responded to me, I was super excited and accepted it almost immediately.
That's so good, so great to hear. And independency and like this independent mindset in studies is often talked about when discussing about Finnish university studies. So what does this independency mean to you? And do you feel that this academic freedom supported you in creating your own way of learning and finding your own path?
Right. Independence in studies refers to the ability of a student to take responsibility of their own learning process, realizing what learning outcomes they want to achieve and what they need to do in order to do that. And academic freedom is an important component of this independent mindset because it allows an intellectual space for the student to explore their own ideas and viewpoints and encourages critical thinking. And it can be different for different people. I really like academic freedom because it allows me to carve out my own learning path, but I do realize that for some people it might be challenging and, let's say, an eye-opening experience, because we usually talk about this academic and learning shock as a bad thing, but in the long run it teaches us to go beyond of who we were and what we thought we could do.
Yeah. And if we think about like studying and study methods, so what kind of study methods have you learned, and especially that have helped you to succeed in your studies? And how do you feel that your studies prepared you for the Finnish working life?
My program, Learning, Education and Technology, places great emphasis on self-regulated learning, and those strategies can vary from person to person, but general advice is to utilize learning strategies, be mindful of how you spend your time, take notes, use active reading and listening, and it's very important to create or find a safe learning environment for yourself and to take regular breaks to avoid burnout. And in terms of how my studies prepared me for Finnish working life, I'd say that independence and critical thinking, emphasis on those, has been extremely valuable.
Mm. And what is your relationship with learning the Finnish language and taking part in the Finnish studies, like language studies? Do you see it as important thing?
I believe it might be different from the field to field, but I like language learning, and I was super excited to start. I did a Duolingo course before I came to Finland, but before that I had no prior experience. I didn't have time or resources to take a traditional course, but I studied myself and used the learning apps, and it led me to taking YKI-testi for an intermediate level in January, and receiving recently a result saying that I passed the test was one of the proudest moments in my life.
Yeah, that's definitely a great achievement. And as our audience here, there were plenty of good tips how you can already start learning the Finnish language before you actually arrive here. And you mentioned, Daria, in your introduction that you work currently in the mobility services. So could you describe how your journey towards your current role looked like?
My path towards my current position was not straightforward. First of all, I never did exchange myself because in my undergraduate studies there was no opportunity to do so. But when I came to Oulu to do my master's degree, I got so immersed and surrounded by different languages, cultures and stories that ultimately it led me to join our local Erasmus Student Network section as a volunteer events manager, which has been a good fit for me. And then I started actively seeking internships and applied for an open position in the mobility services. And upon completing this internship, it was just a couple of months, I've been actively looking for jobs in the university and applying for many open positions. But however, it wasn't an easy process. And over these 2 years that I'm here, I have received more than 50 rejections letters. And some of people ghosted me, and most of the things never even led to the interview. So I think that I continued, I persevered into looking for opportunities, and eventually it led me applying to the position I'm currently in. So I would say overall my path here has been a mix of taking advantage of the opportunities that came my way, being active in seeking out new experiences, and just continuing in the face of failure.
Yeah. So being active and persistent as well. And if you reflect on your studies, can you name some courses or projects which helped you with getting employed?
University studies is so much more than taking a singular course or courses overall. When you are at university, especially on mobility, you learn from everything that is happening to you, whether it is courses, extracurricular activities, volunteering, making friends, dating, and just facing the hardships. You learn from everything. And when I graduate, and many years from now, I won't be remembering fondly how I went to this specific course and what I remember from it, but I will be remembering the overall experience and how it changed me and what it taught me. So the university and the studies, it's everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah. And Daria, really nicely, you create this picture how we have a pretty active, like a student life opportunities here in Oulu, and there's many things going on where you can take part in.
Yes.
And I also know that many of our students, they already work during their studies to get more experience and learn new things. And did you work during your studies already? And is it common in your experience?
I believe that it is quite common among students. I myself continued working part-time from my previous job when I just came to Oulu until it stopped making sense. And then I could afford taking some time off to concentrate on my studies and volunteering, luckily. And I believe that having an opportunity to invest this time into my future job-seeking process is a huge privilege that I have, and I realized that maybe not everybody had this during their studies.
Thank you so much, Daria. Let's go to Mia for a while. So Mia, you work at the Career Center, which is a service provided for all of our students to help them with the job seeking and career building. And you mentioned that you help our students on daily basis with identifying their strengths as job seekers. So could you tell us more, how does the Career Center actually work? And in practice, how do you help our students? And what services does Career Center offer?
Yes, Career Center is located in the Linnanmaa campus heart, you could say, in the middle of the building. And normally students just pop in, like asking that, okay, is my CV good? And what should I do when I'm applying for this job or this internship? Or they come asking for many kinds of things. But we are not just a place that you could say that is like a concept, more building up, and we have many kinds of services. We have one-to-one guidance, we have workshops, we have mock interview, many kinds of cooperation with the faculties, and also recruitment events with the companies. And then if you think that how does it work, that we can book a time with you, or you can just pop in there. But in when you need to go more deep, like career planning or things like that, then we can have this one-to-one guidance. And that way we help the students to discover their skills, and also help in networking and all that, like building up the career path in a way. And you can use our services in any when you are starting your studies or about to graduate.
So it doesn't really matter at which point of your studies or building your career at you are, because we have like a variety of services to help you at any point.
Yes.
And you mentioned that you organize these recruitment events. So could you tell more about those?
We have been building up those recruitment events, like possibilities for the students and of course the companies to meet, that there is a possibility to go for the students to ask that what kind of jobs and internship possibilities the companies have, and talk straight with the people who are working there. And also that is a good opportunity to hear that, okay, these kind of skills I would need, or these kind of courses maybe I should be taking because I want to work in that company. And of course I've heard from the students that they have had also many good conversations with the companies, so that way they have been opening up or maybe widening up also their perspective in that way, that okay, that sounds actually really interesting company, and maybe there could be something for me also, that they haven't been maybe thinking about that earlier. And of course those events are also good possibilities to networking. So many things where you can utilize those.
But it's really great that we are able to offer our students these opportunities already during the studies to really meet the companies and representatives and already built your networks.
Yes.
And in your experience, what are the main things students need to take into consideration when applying a job here in Finland?
Well, of course, now that we are talking that you are applying a job and all that, of course, we want to remind the students that the studies are the number one and you have to focus on them. But at the same time, of course, it's wise to start building up your career and planning that career, because it's like a process that you started along the studies and then along the life and also working life years, you build it up, that process. Self-knowledge, I could say that is the basic ground where you start up, that you have to know your strengths and also learn how to articulate them well. That I'm sure that our students have many kind of skills, but sometimes they are lacking, that they don't know how to say them aloud or say them for the employee. And you have to articulate your skills in CV and cover letter and job interview and also like when you go to talk to company people. So that way it's good to know what are my skills and how do I say them, how do I articulate them. You can have like technical skills and you can have soft skills, transferable skills, many kinds. And of course, it's good to get to know different kind of working places and what kind of companies, what kind of organizations do we have there, have here. I mean, and then like it takes a little bit time also to network and get to know all the basic information. And of course, there is different kinds of working places in different fields, like what we have here. Or if you are planning to work in academia or many kinds. So that way you have to be active and also be researching different kind of possibilities and researching, especially then when you are applying, that what there is. And with all these steps, which you could think like steps, you can focus and approach your dream, like your dream job. But you have to see it more likely that it's step by step building up.
Mm. So it's good to keep in mind that you don't have to have everything planned beforehand. You don't need to already know like what do you want to do after you graduate, but you can take it like one step at a time. But it's important to start considering it like well beforehand. Well, we already heard a bit Darja's take on learning the Finnish language, but how do you, Mia, perceive it as a career counselor? So in which way does it help the job seeker if they have the Finnish language skills?
Well, if you think that you move to another country and to a new country, of course you have to get to know the culture, the society, and that way I see that also the language is part of that new country where you are in. So that way it's important to learn the language. But of course, in many fields in here in Oulu and in Finland, you survive very well with English, of course. But then there is many kinds of jobs where you need the Finnish language as well. So in that way, if you think about the job market, there is many kinds of needs, and all the employees, they appreciate if they hear that, okay, you are learning the new language and you don't need to be 100% perfect, but at least that you could say something in Finnish. So everybody appreciates that. And of course, you can learn the language along the studies and also learn the language when you're working in working life.
Mm. And I don't know how is it your Darja's experience, but from my side, I can tell that we Finns are always very taken aback and very happy if we hear that someone is learning our small language. I don't know if you have noticed this, that people get excited when you speak Finnish. Thank you, Mia, so much. And so Darja, did you use the Career Center services when you were a student?
Career Services was one of the first places I've ever been to when I first came to Oulu, and I remember that I left the consultation a bit relieved, but also a little anxious because my field, education, is not a field where jobs jump at you from every corner, luring you with work benefits and high salaries. But I think that I received a very much needed reality check and some quite valuable advice that I stick to this day.
Mm. And what would be your main tips for our students regarding their future career possibilities?
I wish there were a single go-to tip that I could use and people could go and use to solve everything. I would say that explore your interests and be open-minded and ready for change. Your interests and skills and everything can evolve over time, and it's important to be open-minded and flexible in the face of new opportunities.
Mm. Those are really, really good advice. At this point, I would like to check if we have some questions from our audience in the chat.
Yes, there are a couple. First one, when should one start to think about job hunting and building a path towards a career?
Yeah, maybe Mia could start with this question.
Yes, good question. And actually, maybe I could build up a story like here, which is from the true life, what has happened. Like many students that okay, first they come here and then they get to know the places and the studies and all those things, and then they have come, let's say many come, for example, when they are the second month or third month here, they come to Career Center and ask that, okay, what should I do and how is my CV and all that, and then we have been preparing all those ready for them, and when the internship possibilities open, they have been ready to apply right away because they have in our guidance have that CV and cover letter and all that, and then they have been going through, because many big companies especially, they have like a long process, or how to say, like bureaucracy in the company, that it takes a couple of months even to go through all that interviews and the second interview and all that. So after that they got an internship position. And then they started during the summertime, for example, in, let's say, 3 or 4 months, they go through that. And when they have done a good job there in the internship, they have been talking that, okay, they can continue as a thesis worker there. Mm. And then they, of course, they have to continue the studies as well, and then start the thesis with the company at some point. And then after that, many of the students have gained a permanent position as well. So these kind of happy stories, but true stories happen all the time.
Yeah. Do you have something to add, Daria, here? Like, when should you start to consider about this?
My parents started asking me who I wanted to be when I grew up since I was 5. I wanted to be an astronaut, but things change. And same goes for all people's life. You may plan one thing, but then the opportunity might come and you will go the other way, all the way.
Yeah. Do we have other questions?
Yes, we do. How good are the chances of finding a job in Oulu?
Well, Mia.
Tricky one. How could you find a job in Oulu? Of course, like now we have been going through that, what there is in job hunting, and like I said earlier, that depending on the field, of course, that there is, in many fields, there is a lot of job possibilities, and then with some of the fields, maybe you have to search a little bit more. But anyway, like there is a lot of jobs and internships in Oulu, and of course all over in Finland, depending on the field, of course.
Yeah, and I could summarize for our listeners that it's really important to be active yourself in the process, as we heard from our panelists as well, it really takes your chances to another level. Do we have any other questions? Great. Well, we are getting closer to finishing our session, but before that, would you like to say some encouraging words for our students before we close this session today? Perhaps Daria can start.
You might be anxious and unsure about what comes your way and what comes next. I know I was, and I still am, but it's all about starting. It's all about trying something new and making another step and continuing. You will have to find it yourself, but your road from oh no to Oulu is here.
Great. How about Mia?
Well, I would say that we warmly welcome everybody here in Oulu, and be brave and just jump and join us. So welcome.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your expertise and your first-hand experiences when it comes to studying and finding a job and traineeships here in Oulu. And a huge thanks for our audience. I hope that you managed to get some new insights and also inspiration to arrive here in Oulu and building your study life here. And remember to subscribe to our UniOulu pre-orientation sessions in YouTube and follow us on other social media channels. And if you haven't yet joined the Offer Holder Hub to meet other students and experts and to explore content, join it now. You have received the invitation in your acceptance letter. But once again, thank you, Daria and Mia, for joining our discussion today. And take care, and hopefully we will see you here in Oulu.